All right, I'm back, you back, we back, just like I said, how you already know. It's me, your girl P, your favorite bitch, and your favorite witch. Welcome to this week's episode of Postscript, also known as PS The Talk Show. So let's just get right on into it for this week's episode. First thing I want to start with is P's favorite pieces. So for P's favorite pieces, the first thing I want to say is big shout out to the Hoochies of Houston. We did have the intergenerational convening. It was a conference, regarding a discussion about sexual health and pleasure. It was amazing experience. It was so good to hear from the keynote speaker, Goody Howard. It was just a really good learning experience and just something that I had never really seen or experienced or been a part before. So I really am looking forward to, the growth and the way that can change the discussion that we have about sexuality and health with young Black children, specifically little Black girls, and it don't always just be a lot of guilt and shame associated with a lot of close your legs kind of stuff. So yeah, it was really nice. That's all I can really say. And so that ties into our next segment for this week's questions that need answers. I want you to think about the kinds of conversations that you had around your own sexual health and pleasure, and maybe if you had an experience of people shaming you into more the keep your legs closed kind of stuff, or if someone, actually prepared you with the tools to understand things like consent and being able to say no and how to express if something is making you uncomfortable. So just think about that. And then if you have children, think about those conversations that you had, and then maybe think about the conversations that you want to have with your children and the way that you want that to look like. So yeah, that just kind of opened my eyes to a different experience. So it was really, really nice. What we're going to talk about for this week that really pissed me off was a young boy added Free D-Dog to the set list apparently after he left Houston. And D-Dog was one of his friends, and that nigga was already up there rapping and jumping around and screaming like it was his concert. So I'm I can't imagine what it's like when he does the song that's your song. What? So I hope that when young boy come back to Houston that the Free D-Dog is still on the set list, and I can see what that looks like, because D-Dog was already up there the whole show, jumping around, rapping just like it was his show. It was so funny. But yeah, that really pissed me off, because I'm this is one of my favorite songs too. But and then I hope it's on there when he come back. So that's all I gotta say for what pissed me off this week. This week's bar for bar, I really want to talk about Take Me Through There. I love that song, and I don't know how I haven't talked about it on this show yet. But it reminds me of such a MySpace era, such the Snap era, such the Polo era. It's just that music was so fun that summer. Oh my goodness, and I love a good something I can dance to. I haven't figured out what the sample is yet, but I'm still trying to unlock it. I think it's either a Soulja Boy song or a Gucci Mane song. I haven't figured out, but when I figure it out, I'm gonna let y'all know. Because if you know me personally, I am the queen of spotting a sample. Yeah. But the song is just great. And then I really hate that it's only just that one little part that people can make it viral, because her whole verse is so fire. She fucking with Buddy and them, they ain't even having a lot. No motherfucker with money. She don't know what she doing. This bitch just giving it out. What the hell? Girls that wear a circle eating. Her whole verse is fire. That's really her song. Yes, my man is on it, but okay, cool. His little verse in the beginning, cute. That I like the way they set it up though, because when you have a popping, though I'm not gonna say the girl not popping, but bitch, she not Quivo, no shade. But if you have a popping person in the front verse, that's gonna make people stay around for the second part a little bit. So I don't know. I like the way they set the song up. That song is probably one of the greatest songs I've heard in a while, because I love a good little throwback MySpace music era, little bop. That song cranks. So make sure y'all stream Take Me Through There. Yeah. Conscious cunt. I really just have two phrases that I want to talk about this week for this week's Conscious Cunt segment. Because you have to understand the way that spirit connects with you, and the way that spirit talks to you, and the way that, you pick up on divinity and messages and things of that nature. And I know that one of the ways that, spirit communicates with me is through phrases or words. So sometimes I'll either keep seeing a phrase in my head, or I'll keep seeing it places, I'll keep hearing it, whatever the case may be. Nonetheless, I keep coming across the phrase junk drawer, and I keep coming across the phrase broken clock. And we're going to get into that in a little bit once we get into our last segment. So that ties directly into our next segment, which is hashtag I cannot make this shit up. So on September the 18th, the planet Mercury did move into the astrological sign of Libra. So with Mercury being like, you know, the transposer, the aux cord, the bullhorn, the loudspeaker, the announcer, and then Virgo being the balance, the not just me but we, the fair, the, you know, right? So you want to think about those values of the Libra things being amplified right now, because like I said, you know, Mercury is the communicator. It's the person that come over the loudspeaker and say, okay, and this is what we're doing today, right? Okay. On September the 19th, the planet Venus did move into the astrological sign of Virgo. And let me just tell you, I love Mercury in Libra. I love Venus in Virgo. All of that just like gives fair. Gives like it's time to really get everything to be comfortable and set in stone. Right? Because it's the when things are settled and comfortable, you can start to appreciate the smaller things and fall in love with the details. And like, as Bestie says, fall in love with the journey. Like, that's what Venus and Virgo gives. Fall in love with the journey. It's the little things that really do matter, because the little things, like we was talking about last week, those small pivots, those small changes, those small tweaks, and the sustainable ones are the ones that make a bigger, longer lasting impression. So fall in love with the details in the journey. Yeah. And then, like, I don't know, something about Mercury and Libra and Venus and Virgo is also like giving me show up for the people that matter to you in ways that matter to them. So it's like, you know, if we're going to talk about the love language thing, if some person's love language is words of affirmation, but you giving them gifts, that don't mean shit to them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you just have to understand and make sure that you're communicating and being transparent enough to where if you you don't know how to show up for the people that matter to you in ways that matter to them, ask. On September the 21st, we did have, all right, this is the lie. Let me try to remember it. It was the solar south node new moon eclipse in the sign of Virgo. Yeah, so we had a solar eclipse near the south node, and I've talked about the nodes. It's something that's in your chart. You have a north node and a south node. So we did have a solar eclipse near the south node in the sign of Virgo. We also had a new moon in the sign of Virgo. Happened on the same day, which was September the 18th. So with those two transits happening simultaneously, I want you to think about September of last year, and then also just think back to 2004 and like understand what was happening in your life, or like what, like we were kids, but I don't know about y'all, but I have really, really deep, fond, clear memories of my childhood. Like I can remember a lot of stuff from being a kid. Yeah, so just think about what was happening with you, with your life, you know what I'm saying? Because with the two transits that I was speaking of, if we're talking about Mercury in Libra and Venus in Virgo, and with the eclipse and with the new moon, I'm seeing, y'all ever seen those videos of when people like upcycle furniture and they put the little spray on it and all the paint just like bubbles off? It's like, that's the analogy that I want to use, like paint stripper, because the dresser is still there. They just took all the bullshit off. That's what all of these transits are trying to do. So say what you mean and mean what you say, and allow space for things to be stripped. But we aren't, like I said, you know, the dresser is still there. They just took the bullshit paint off. So be aware of that and keep space for the bare bones of things, out of fear of guilt or shame or insecurity, or like, okay, let me just take everything off to make everybody else comfortable. No. I mean that in a way of like not you feeling obligated, but in a way of you feeling ready to course correct. Because sometimes you have to get down to the bare bones in order to course correct. It's just like revisions are necessary, and that's fine. It's okay. So understand your limits and understand what conjures them. So like, you know that if you do this, that's going to in turn affect your limit to be able to do this. When you know your limits and you're able to know what conjures them, then that allows you, I feel like, to be a little bit more personable with yourself and a little bit more detailed and disciplined with yourself. Because the stress of you trying to cram, like the little meme that I like of, you know, trying to fix my whole life over the weekend, the stress of that and the idea of that versus what knowing actually needs to be fixed and handled are two different things. I definitely meant to say 2007 earlier, not 2004. Think about what was going on in your life when we were kids, and it was 2007, not 2004, in regards to the eclipse and the new moon. All right, we're back. Speaking of 2007, these are some interesting things that I like, well, I didn't remember these first two things, but when I looked it up, I kind of wrote down stuff I remember, which was like Anna Nicole Smith died. I do remember that. That happened in 2007. And then also that was the emergence of Kim K. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But the two things that I didn't like remember that happened was that the iPhone came out in 2007. And then also that's when the first, I don't know if it was the first. The first one I remember hearing about on the news was the school shooting at Virginia Tech. But then some other stuff that I do remember that happened in 2007, Crank that came out. Anna Nicole Smith died. Trim Spa, baby. Trim Spa. I think that's when Kim Kardashian little sex tape scandal thing situation like came around. And so, okay, now we're gonna get back to the Kim K and the Anna Nicole thing, right? This is what I wanted to say. Okay, one famous era of whore in the best regard, I mean that word in the best light, you know, went on home to glory, and then another era in time of whore rose through Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And again, I mean the word whore in the best light. So you got to think about when we're talking about that Mercury and Libra and that Venus and Virgo, think about what is now going to go home to glory and what will rise from the ashes. Because it's a good energy for transformation and clarity and clearness. And it was very clear, I just feel like, from the beginning, what Kim Kardashian would be and who she would become. Like, I always knew she was like, oh, I'm like, that's the next Paris Hilton. Right? But when I said know your limits and say what you mean to me, what you say, have the ability to flow. Have the ability to sync, to mesh, to merge. When you can do those things, you provide yourself a little bit more clarity. And I feel that when you feel more clear in your spirit, that allows you to be more clear with your discernment of ritual and like what is important and what you need to do now, what could wait, what could be done next week, that kind of stuff. Because again, relating back to the Anna Nicole Smith thing of her passing and then Kim K rising to fame all in that same year, it's a new regime of whore. That's really what I was trying to say. Like, you know, one era of whore died and one new one started. So think about your life that way. One era of yourself is going home to glory, and one era of yourself is welcoming itself, you know, for the next great awakening. I've been seeing the girls talk about something, 120-day lock-in or something. I don't really know what that means, but I'm assuming it means something about the last quarter of the year and people trying to lock in. When you know your limits and what conjure them, that allows you to have clearer and cleaner boundaries. And with clearer and cleaner boundaries, those bring devout practices. Can I get all shay? Yeah. So sometimes with that, like back to that paint stripper analogy, you have to be aware and understand what's yours and what you're holding. I believe that's what Channy said when I was listening to her. And that resonated with me so very well because for a long time I carried around somebody else's anger and depression that was not even my fucking own. But sometimes you just got to be like looking at the bags that you holding and be like, somebody said these are my shit, and let it go. So know what's yours and know what you're holding, and when it's not your shit, let it go. I know that the church people say, as long as you have faith the size of a mustard seed, I'm going to say magic is the size of a mustard seed. It's the small things. Fall in love with the details. Fall in love with the journey. Because when you do those things, it allows you to be present and aware and not chasing perfection and instant gratification, right? And those dose emotions, that dopamine, that oxytocin, that serotonin, that endorphins. Yeah, because consciousness comes in the current, not in the seats. Can I get all shay? And I mean current as in like the flow of water and the state of movement. Yeah. So just think about, like, you know, what happened in 2007 around your life, what you maybe were starting to form yourself around and identify yourself with, and maybe what was like this is the greatest thing ever, and like, you know, what is still a work in progress from your life from them? What is the old era that's dying? What is the new regime that's coming? That's all I got for this week. Thanks for coming. Make sure you come back next week. Like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on the bell. I was about to say retweet, but this ain't even that. Do all the things. Yeah. Thanks for coming. You know how we end the show. Bitches be mad because they be hating, and bitches be hating because they be mad. Bye, y'all.